Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 308th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Okay, the team I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member Mystique. You don't see Mystique playing Rome Total War much these days, so it was nice to see Mystique on the other day. And I think if I remember right here, I think Mystique has got 17 infantry and 3 cavalry. So new players to Rome Total War, that's an unusual army. 17 infantry, 3 cavalry. It'd be interesting to see if that 17 inf will make up for just having 3 cavalry. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks. Now this is an interesting army build that I think newer players to Rome Total War might like to have a look at. If you notice here, he's got 5 archer units there, which is quite a lot of units, archer units to bring. I think he's got something like 10 or 12 infantry units. But if you look at the upgrades on some of his units, can you see that urban cohort unit is fully upgraded? 9 upgrades. That's 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. He's got mixed upgrades on his infantry. These infantry units here have got 7 upgrades, so that's 1 experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And he's got another fully upgraded one. Now we know that urban cohorts fight well with just gold upgrades on. So to be fully upgraded with 3 experience stripes is going to make them like super units. And I see at the back there he's got more fully upgraded urban cohort units. But if you notice, he's got 2 urban units here with just 2 upgrades, which I'm guessing is going to be silver shield, which he will use as his pilot shield unit. And I see he's also got an eagle unit there, which he will use for additional morale for his troops while they're fighting there. So that's an interesting army build there, with lots of units fully upgraded, but it certainly is a mixture of units there with different upgrades. And I think he's got 4 cavalry as well. So let's have a quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. I think he's only got 6 upgrades on his cavalry there, So he's just got gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. But that's an interesting army build, almost like a custom army build there. So it'd be interesting to see how well that does. Okay, our next teammate is myself, Spartan Commander. And this is another one of my old armies. Now, as you know, normally my old army is 6 cavalry and 12 infantry. Well, with this old army, I've actually got an extra infantry unit. I've got 13 infantry and just 5 cavalry. I think you'll see why when you see the other team there. And our last teammate is Brotherhood member Lando. Now, a lot of RTW veterans will know Lando as Brotherhood member Turbo. Turbo's the name he was using right from the beginning of Rome Total War, but in the last few years he has changed it to Lando. And as you can see, he's got 3 archers there. And I think he's got, what's he got? About something like 12 infantry there. That's an interesting army build. You see 3 archers and about 12 infantry, and I think he's got, what, 4 cavalry, something like that. So there's our team. It should be an interesting battle for you to watch. You wait till you see the other team. And here is the other team. We've got Brotherhood member Clash. Now, just to give you a little bit of history about Clash. Clash has been playing Rome Total War since it first came out. He had a number of years of a break from Rome Total War. Then he came back for a short while. Then he had another break, and now he's back on to Rome Total War. And I'd just like to show you his old-fashioned formation here. Can you see how wide this formation is? If you notice these days, well, for the last 6-7 years, we have in-depth formations now rather than wide formations. So this is a very old-fashioned formation there, with just 2 pilot shield units kind of stuck out the front of his main battle line there. But that is, as I say, that is a wide, old-fashioned, old-school formation. It's nice to see that on the modern-day battlefield, and it'd be interesting to see how well he does. As you see, it's a bog-standard build, 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member Legion 22. Now, unusually, Legion 22 has bought the Carthage faction. It'd be interesting to see how well he does with that. If you notice, he's just got 2 Sacred Band cavalry units, and I think they've just got 6 upgrades on each. So that's gold shield, gold attack. As I say, newer players for Rome Total War, I know you like to see our army builds, so I hope you find some of these army builds quite interesting. And then I draw your attention to his 2 pilot shield units here. Now, I think these are a pony infantry. I think it's pronounced pony infantry. You don't often see these on the modern day battlefield. And if you notice there, these 2 pilot shield units have got no upgrades. So they're very cheap units. very, very cheap, and he's put no upgrades on them at all. So why really would you want to put upgrades on if they're just going to be there to soak up enemy pilots? Then we move to his main battle army here. This Sacred Band Spearmen. As we know, Sacred Band Spearmen got good morale, very good troops. And if you have a closer look at them there you go, you can see the Sacred Band troops there. And then I'd just like to draw your attention to a little used unit on the modern 31k battlefield, Libyan Spearmen. And if you notice here, I think these Libyan Spearmen are fully upgraded. So that's very, very unusual to see those units on the modern day battlefield anyway, but to fully upgrade them as well, I guess makes these units quite tough. As I say, I think this is an experimental army that Legion 22 is bringing, so it'll be interesting to see how well those units do. And then he's got 3 Balearic Slingers. Now those Balearic Slingers have got quite good range and they can do quite a lot of damage. So that's an interesting experimental Carthage army there by Legion 22. Okay, the third teammate is Brotherhood member Uther, who has bought the Rome Julii faction. Now, just like to draw your attention to his interesting pilot shield units there. He's got 12 infantry units and a peasant unit. Now, this 120-man peasant unit, as long as it has stand, it will soak up expensive Roman pilots as easy as any other more expensive unit. And by putting them between 2 urban cohort units, that's a nice little pilot shield formation there by Uther. Let's say he's got, I think it's 12 infantry plus that peasant unit there. And over here he'll have his cavalry hiding in the long grass there. The rest of his cavalry will be hiding there. But let's just have a look at the upgrades on this cavalry. Now see, he's got 8 upgrades. So that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack, which make these cavalry extremely serious cavalry. And he's either got 5 or 6 of them. As you see, the rest of them are hiding in the long grass. So that'll be an interesting army to watch during the course of the battle. Their fourth teammate is Brotherhood member Mars, who has bought the Greek Cities faction. I noticed Mars has been using the Greek Cities quite a lot lately, and he seems to be getting quite good with them. The rest of his army will be hidden in that long grass there, but you can see the one half of his army. And I see he's got 5 Cretan archers. Cretan archers have got long range and do a lot of damage, so that's a pretty interesting Greek Cities army. So there's the other team. Should be a great one to watch. Okay, at this very early stage of the battle, you can see that Uther has got his really well upgraded cavalry fighting Steve Longshank's cavalry here, and it looks like Uther has won that little battle against Steve's cavalry there. If you notice that Mystique's army is a long way at the rear there, so to try and get cavalry support up would be very difficult, and I'm bringing my cavalry over to help. If you notice also, Turbo has moved his infantry. Remember, he was over on that left flank. He's moved his infantry past my infantry over to our right flank there. So there must be a tactical reason for him deciding to do that. As you can see, there's running his infantry over there. If you notice, Steve's running his infantry over to try and help his cavalry. If you notice, I'm running my cavalry in to help. But just as my cavalry arrive, Uther wisely pulls his cavalry back as Steve's infantry was closing in on him as well there. As I say, as we looked at Uther's cavalry earlier, as I say, probably got all of those units probably got 7 or 8 upgrades on. So those, as I say, those cavalry are tough. And you can see that Clash's cavalry has arrived over on that flank as well. And Mystique's cavalry has just arrived there. So that was a good move by Uther there. It used his better upgrades there to take out a lot of Steve's cavalry, and then pulled his cavalry back before he could be attacked by superior numbers there. As you can see, Mystique now has moved his army over to this flank. And as I say, Turbo is running his army down to this flank as well. So I don't know whether they're thinking about attacking the enemy on this flank. Just have to wait and see as the battle unfolds. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I thought I'd show you an interesting tactic here by Legion 22. Do you remember he bought those really cheap infantry units, the pony infantry? He hasn't put any upgrades on them at all, but he stood them out a long way from the front of his main battle line. Now, what you can see here, can you see he's attracting expensive auxiliary archer arrows firing at those units? So what he's doing there, he's, as I say, put those really cheap units out there to attract expensive archer fire. And because we're shooting now auxiliary arrows onto those units without any upgrades on at all, you could say that he's kind of wasting his arrows really in a way, because he should be saving those arrows maybe to take out the Cretan archers. Remember we saw 5 Cretan archers? So that's a nice little tactic there by Legion 22 with those cheap units. Okay, at this stage of the battle, can you see here, I'm on the left flank now as Turbo has moved from the left flank down to the other flank there. So what I've decided I'm going to do is a left flanking action here against Clash. You can see there's a bit of pilers coming in there, a few pilers coming in there from Clash's Piler Shield units. And if you notice that Mystique is moving her army over here to our flank. If you notice there, Clash's cavalry had a little bit of a glitch there, so I stopped my movement there when I saw that his cavalry had glitched a little bit. But that's what my intention is here, is to do a left flanking action. Now if you notice here, can you see Mars being extremely aggressive for Greek cities? Now remember, we've talked about this in other battle videos. The Greek cities are often used as a defensive force, but they have fantastic attack specifications, and Mars is making the most of those specifications there by attacking Steve's infantry head on. And if you notice, Steve wisely has pulled the bulk of his army back because he doesn't really want to get into a head-to-head frontal attack there with those Greek city units. The way to beat Greek cities is to hold them at the front and get units around the flank and rear. Okay, if you notice over on the other flank here, you can see I'm still continuing my left flanking action here, trying to turn the enemy's flank on this side. Bringing my cavalry over. I notice that Mystique's moving her army over to this flank as well to support my attack. And if you notice that Uther spotted the danger and is bringing his army over from the other flank there to support his ally here. Right, if you notice, I'm pressing on round with that attack that I'm doing there. But as I say, Uther's coming all the way over from the other flank there to support his ally here on this flank. But Mystique is also bringing her army over as well. So I've got a feeling here that things could kick off pretty quick here on this flank when we decide to attack. Nice bit of support there by Uther. He saw Mistress moving her army over here, so he's come over to support his ally. If you notice, Clash has spread his army quite wide here to hold the centre and the flank at the same time. So that's a nice tactical move there. See Mist sending a couple of units there to attack the Piler Shield unit of Clash. Remember that Piler Shield unit's in open order, very susceptible to cavalry hit. Right, let's just pause the game, take stock of exactly what's going on. Let's say Uther's moved over here to support Clash. We've got a lot of enemy cavalry on this flank. In the centre here, as I say, Clash has spread his army out quite well to hold the centre and the flank as well. And over on our right flank here, you can see that Mars is making a very aggressive attacking movement there with his Greek cities army against Steve's army. You can see we've got our archers here shooting into those Greek city units as they're approaching, trying to cause as much damage as we can. Remember, fire arrows put fear into the enemy but cause less casualties. So that's Steve's firing fire arrows into those Greek cities, maybe to try and lower their morale a bit. But can you see Turbo's looking, probably looking to bring his infantry over maybe to help Steve. Let's say here, you can see Steve shooting his fire arrows into those advancing Greek city troops there. He's also got some damaged cavalry units out there trying to take out those Balearic slingers and Cretan archers there. Okay, so Turbo here, he looks like he's going to go left here. Now whether he's going to go left to support Mist and myself, or whether he's going to charge through those that thin red line of Julii troops, maybe force his way through, or maybe go into the rear of those attacking Greek city units there. Maybe that might be a tactic for him to do. Once those Greek cities get engaged with Steve's unit, if he charges in there, it could be a hammer and anvil attack. But what do you think you would do if you were in charge of Turbo's infantry units there? Push through that thin Julii line in front of him, go over and help Steve by smashing into the rear of these engaged Greek city troops? What do you think you would do? As I say, you can see there, Mars really pushing, really being aggressive with those Spartan units there, straight into Steve's Roman herb units. Now, Steve's holding there. He's not trying to pull back or anything. Maybe he's hoping that he could be the anvil, and maybe Turbo could come in behind those Greek city units, so it could be a hammer and anvil attack. Maybe that's the reason why Steve's holding. Now, remember, Steve's got a lot of really good upgrades on that infantry, so he's going to hold for a long time, but still taking Greek cities head on is still a big ask for Roman troops. You can see Mars really pushing those Greek city units in. You can see him really advancing with those Greek city units. Okay, can you see Turbo's made a decision now, and he's coming over to this right flank with his infantry. Now, whether this is a right tactical decision for the battle, I guess only time will tell. As I say, he's looking to smash into the rear, but by moving his infantry over, can you see a big tactical problem for our team? A massive gap, look, between Mist and Turbo, and there was a massive gap there for the enemy to pour through. Imagine that Carthage army and those Julio troops pouring through there to split our armies, our team's armies up there. So that's a big tactical call there by Turbo. As you can see here, I'm still trying to do this right flank in action. I think it's you know, I hope me and Mist are going to be extremely aggressive on this flank, because we need to try and take out these enemy Julio armies here to be able to go across to help our allies. As you see, can you see that gap between Turbo and Mist that we were talking about there, that Julio infantry and cavalry have poured in there? Can you see Turbo charging his cavalry into the rear of those engaged Greek city troops there? Nice little move there, but the Greek city's turned, and I think there was a Carthage unit there as well covering the rear of his allies. Right, let's just pause the game. As I say, there's a massive gap there between Mist and Turbo, and now the enemy are pouring through. So, as I say, maybe that might have been not the best tactical decision there, and the enemy now have split our team up. We've got two armies one side, two the other, with quite a big enemy team in between us. As you can see here, Turbo's charging his infantry in behind those enemy Greek city units there. Now, if between Steve and Turbo they could take out the Greek city's army, then that would be good. Right, you see Uther's cavalry attacking Turbo's infantry, and bang, as that cavalry hits. Remember, Uther's upgrades on that cavalry, really good. 8 upgrades, so he's not afraid to charge them into infantry and leave them in there for a little bit of a melee. Meanwhile, over here on our left flank, you can see myself and Mist trying to be really aggressive. We can see what's happening to our teammates on the other side there, fighting pike and spear units over there. So we need to be aggressive, right? Can you see how I'm attacking there? Now remember, this is another old army of mine, but it's got 13 infantry instead of 12, and I'm really pushing them forward here to attack. Need to be aggressive, Turbo and myself. Time is the essence here. Okay, you see I'm attacking there. And you can see that Mist is also attacking. We really need to try and take out these enemy Julio armies if we can, to get across to help our teammates. As I say, time could be the essence here. Most of Steve's SBQR units have been taken out by the aggressive attacking of the Greek cities. And if you notice that Legion 22's been a great teammate there, sending over a Carthage Sacred Band to help as well. But meanwhile, over on this right flank, as I say, Mist and myself have got to be aggressive to try and take these Julio armies out to get across to help our allies there. Right, do you remember we looked at those? I think it was Libyan spearmen that were fully upgraded. There you go, those Libyan spearmen. They had 9 upgrades on, 3 experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And I'm trying to break through them now to get through to the enemy Julio army there. But I think for cheap units, which they are, fully upgraded, they're holding quite well against good Roman army. So I say there, both Mist and myself trying to be aggressive there. We need to take out those Julio armies if we can to get over to help our teammate. Right, you see Turbo's bringing his SBQR army back over to this flank now, trying to help us out. Right, you see I'm charging my cavalry in, and bang, as my SBQR cavalry hits that engaged Julio infantry there. As I say, if you notice, I'm pushing my units forward, trying to be as aggressive as I can here. And if you notice, I'm running my cavalry on through the enemy ranks there, but I don't want to hang around too much because there's infantry and there's possibly enemy cavalry reinforcements coming up there as well, so I don't want to hang around too much with my cavalry. but I'm pushing my infantry forward there. Mist is pushing her infantry forward as well. I notice a lot of the enemy Julii units are starting to rout now. See Mystique really pushing her infantry forward there, really trying to roll over that Julii army in front of her there. I'm pushing my, pulling my cavalry back. I don't want to get involved with infantry and cavalry, so I'm going to run away with my cavalry at the moment. Right, if you notice here, Legion 22 has brought some of his Carthage Sacred Band over here to attack Mist. But as at the moment, you can see a lot of the enemy Julii troops starting to rout. So the aggressive attacking tactics that Mystique and myself have used there have started to pay dividends in routing the enemy Julii units. As I said earlier, I know I said it a couple of times, both Mystique and myself have to be extremely aggressive to try and take out the Julii army. But I think all of Steve's army has been taken out. Let's just pause the game for a second. As I say, Mystique's and my army here have done quite well in routing a lot of the enemy Julii units. Steve's army now has been basically completely destroyed over there, and the victorious Greek city troops are running across to take on Mystique and myself. We've already got the Carthage Sacred Band attacking as well. Notice how Legion 22 is keeping his spear units tight, concentrated. Makes them very efficient there, very effective. But I'm glad to say we've managed to rout most of the Julii armies that were here anyway. But let's say there's a lot of victorious spearmen coming over. Right, can you see this red Julii cavalry? And bang, as that cavalry hits. If you notice, I'm running my infantry forward to try and get an infantry charge bonus against that Julii cavalry charge bonus, trying to neutralise it. Right, if you notice, I'm bringing my cavalry, my SBQR cavalry back into the fray. I'm going to try and charge into the back of those engaged Julii troops, and bang, as my cavalry hits. If you notice, I'm also running my infantry forward into the rear of those engaged Julii troops as well. And we've managed to take out that Julii cavalry. I'm going to try for that Julii general as well now. Yeah, we've taken out Uther's general. So of course now all of Uther's Julii troops now units will morale will now drop. If you notice here, you can see that Mystique is attacking with her troops against the Sacred Band. Now, remember what we've talked about before. Do you want to attack spear units or pike units head on? Is that something that a Roman general really wants to do? Maybe throw in a couple of units to hold them at the front and then get units around the rear might be an option. But with this Sacred Band cavalry wander around the battlefield, going to smash into the back of his troop, bang, straight into the back of Mystique's troops. I think maybe the cavalry advantage is with the enemy at the moment, possibly. Right, you see I'm charging my cavalry into that Julii general, and bang! I think I've just taken out Clash's general as well. So that the Julii troops that are left now have got no general morale bonus. So as I say, their morale will be low, and maybe that might make the difference towards the end of the battle. Just have to wait and see here. As you can see here, charging my cavalry, and again, want to try and take out these Julii units.
He is running away.
A lot of Mystique's units have now been routed by that Carthage Sacred Band. It was a nice use of spears there, Sacred Band spears, and the cavalry that he's got left. Remember, he only bought 2 Sacred Band cavalry units, and he's been using them extremely effectively. Very surgical hits with that cavalry there. So if you notice there, we've basically routed all of the Julii armies now, but we're now up against Greek cities and Carthage Sacred Band, and I think that the enemy may well be cavalry dominant at this moment.
The enemy's hearts are full of fear, and now they flee.
If you notice, I've got a few battle damage units I'm trying to take around the flank of those pikes, but to be honest, I think my arm is so battle damaged now to take on those pikes would be very difficult call, I think. As I say, try to get units around the flank, attacking the rear and the flank of those pike units. I see, I think Steve's brought a couple of his archer units forward there that he's got left, shooting fire arrows into the rear of the enemy troops. Right, this is a crucial cavalry battle there. Can you see my battle damaged cavalry units are trying to kill those Carthage Sacred Band units off, but both my cavalry units have now been killed. So that now gives the enemy cavalry units, only 2 of them, but that could really prove pivotal to the course of the battle. We've got no more cavalry left now, and my guess is here that Legion's going to try and get those cavalry in a very tactical position, i.e. in behind our engaged troops. And if he smashes into the rear of our engaged troops there, then I think that probably will be the end of the battle there. Just pause the game. As I say, when we looked at his army at the beginning of the game there, he only had 2 cavalry. We might have thought that's not a lot, but maybe it could prove pivotal towards the end of the battle there. As we've lost all our cavalry now, and as I say, I've got a feeling he's going to charge that cavalry into the rear of our engaged troops, and that could well be the end of the battle there. As I say, you can see Steve still shooting fire arrows into the enemy troops there, lowering their morale. Right, can you see that Carthage Sacred Band? And bang! Just as we thought, straight into the rear of our engaged troops there, and that will start probably a chain rout. And my guess is that, as you can see there, a lot of our troops are now routing. We've got Balearic slingers right in behind us, shooting point blank range into the rear of us. And I think that's the end of the battle there. I think there's just one unit left. I think that's just 1 archer units left of Steve there. But I thought that was a nice combination of Carthage and Greek cities there. I think those spearmen worked really well together, and that was a nice use of them by Legion 22 and Mars there. Nice aggressive attack in there with them. Let's say I think it's just 1 unit of archers left, and they've just been taken out by those Sacred Band cavalry.
Roman arms have not been enough for victory. The Senate will weep over the needless death.
So that was a close, interesting battle there. As you can see, there's still quite a lot of Carthage left. Right, just first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game there. Some great aggressive attacking moves there. And as you can see, it was an average defeat. I thought it might have been a close defeat, but it was only average. And just like to draw your attention to Carthage Sacred Band, Legion 22, 1,736 highest kills in the game. Unusual to see Carthage with the highest kills in the game, really well done. And as I say, nice aggressive attack in there by Mars to get the 2nd highest kills in the game. So really well played to you two, and really well played to all the enemy team there. I'd just like to say really well played to Turbo, Steve Longshanks and Mystique, well done. A great battle there, and really well done to the enemy team. Just to say to newer players, if you go into the single player mode and go into custom, put 31k in for the money there, and you can build some different interesting armies that you might like to try on the multiplayer. I remember a Brotherhood member Apple and Brotherhood member Ultimate Bob. We used to joke about bringing a dog army, a war dog army. And I remember one 4v4 battle, when we had all deployed, we saw that Apple had bought 20 fully upgraded war dog units, and we'd laugh at that. And the funny thing was, his dog units killed one of the enemy generals, and we actually went on to win the battle. So that was really funny, and we talked about that for ages. But that's part of Rome Total War, is making unusual, different armies, and trying new things. And it really can enhance your gaming experience, I think, by just trying new armies, just for a laugh and a joke sometimes. Because at the end of the day, you don't really want to take the game too seriously, because it is just a game to enjoy and have a bit of fun. It's Spartan Commander, so I hope you enjoyed this battle. Look forward to seeing you soon, and bye for now.